Research has shown that individuals with typical face recognition abilities are more accurate when recognising a familiar face from a moving video than a static image. One theory of this motion advantage, the social signals hypothesis, proposes that social cues carried in movement enhance face recognition by attracting attention to the identity-specific internal facial features, such as the eyes, nose, and mouth. Our previous research found support for the social signals hypothesis as an explanation for the motion advantage in 3 studies featuring typical recognisers. In contrast, research has drawn inconsistent conclusions as to whether individuals with developmental prosopagnosia, a lifelong disorder of face recognition, receive any benefit from motion when perceiving or recognising faces. In addition, when viewing static faces, individuals with DP have been shown to direct less attention to the internal facial features. However, we do not know if the same is true when viewing moving faces. Our study therefore had 2 aims. Firstly, to determine whether individuals with DP benefit from motion during familiar face recognition, and secondly, to examine the validity of the social signals hypothesis as an explanation for any observed motion advantage effect. To do this, we examined the eye movements of 30 participants, 14 individuals with DP and 16 age-matched controls as they completed a familiar face recognition task. Participants were asked to verbally recognise the faces of 60 celebrities, half of which were shown in motion and half in static. Following completion of the task, participants were asked to rate their familiarity with the names of the 60 celebrities featured in the familiar face recognition task. Any faces that were deemed non-familiar to the participant were removed from the analysis. In terms of results, as expected, we found that individuals in the DP group performed less accurately than those in the control group. Recognition accuracy was also high for faces presented in motion relative to those presented in a static form. This beneficial effect of motion was consistent across the 2 participant groups. Eye tracking data was analysed for correct trials only. For each trial, we calculated the proportion of dwell time directed to the internal facial features, which we defined as the eyes, nose and mouth, and the external features, which we defined as the chin, cheeks, forehead and hair. We observed that movement changed the way that both DP and control participants viewed faces by increasing the proportion of time spent dwelling upon the internal facial features and decreasing the proportion of time spent dwelling upon the external features. Further analysis revealed that this effect of motion on dwell time was consistent across the 3 internal features. However, irrespective of presentation style, DP participants directed less attention to the eye region and more attention to the mouth than the control participants. These findings provide support for the social signals hypothesis by demonstrating that facial motion attracts attention to the internal facial features, which facilitates identity processing. However, we cannot be certain that the internal features of dynamic faces attract attention because they move in a social way as theorised by the social signals hypothesis, rather than simply because they display a greater amount of movement information than the external features. This is a question for future research.